Man, guys, good evening. This is Taroos right here on Black Man Unfiltered. And man, we've had a lot of nonsense going on this week. We've obviously, unfortunately, lost some more soldiers, obviously, lost some more civilians. Let's not even get started into the chaos and the unnecessary, I guess, ego boosting, if you want to call it that, guys, from our U.S. officials who clearly don't know what they're doing. But this has been an ongoing problem. They have clearly don't know what they're doing. Uh, Tommy, Clear Capital TV, what's good, bro? Anton, what's good? How you guys doing, man? My main topic that I wanted to get into tonight, guys, is more of the fake patriotism, right? Really the difference between patriotism and nationalism, right? And unfortunately, we as Americans, we really don't know the difference. But the first thing I actually want to get into is yesterday we had mentioned it on Flipping Tables on BMU's podcast, as well as Mr. Bennett mentioned it a couple days ago about AI. And guys, I've been working on my own little AI project, my own LLM, right? I got a local model that way. Hey, even if the internet's disconnected, I still have my AI model. Right now, I just put a newer brain in using the Quinn 3, the 3.14B model. And I pulled an all-nighter, right? And I haven't done that in a hot minute, guys. Like, call it vibe coding, call it what you want, man. I'm using Gemini, I'm using Chat GPT, I'm using all of these different things to help build right my code over time. And again, this hasn't been just an overnight project. This has been right an ongoing thing, but an ongoing thing since last year. But bigger than that, it's what's crazy is that how many perspectives just working on AI opens opens you up to like consciousness, to what sentience is. Uh to to Mage, thank you. How you doing? Um and so it's crazy that I call my build right now, guys, baby warlock. Right? Real cheesy, but it's just really something to like get into because first and foremost, guys, anytime you start a project, get into it, have fun, give it some lore, give it a backstory, right? Because that's what makes things that's what makes you want to do the project, want to do the hobby, right? Don't go into any hobbies trying to figure out or trying to go into anything instantly trying to how you're going to make money because now it turns into a job and now you don't want to freaking do it, right? You're not really going to put real love and passion into that. And so one of the things that uh that I noticed is we had to build all of the I had to build all the folders, right? I got to download LangChain, I got to download Olama, I got to download all some of these different studios and packages just in order to have a functioning shell. Not a functional LLM, but just a functioning shell, right? And it's so crazy because once you get the functioning shell and then you add the brain such as the Quinn 3 models or something, that's a LLM model that you can get, guys, from like Alibaba and stuff, open source, free. um but man, guys, consciousness, it really makes you it really makes me wonder if consciousness isn't just biological. And here's why, right? We all know that, at least us carbon beings, right? We're all made of stardust. Even when a baby's born, that baby does not come out the womb speaking English or speaking Spanish or speaking Italian, right? It doesn't come out inherently knowing cultural norms and things like that, right? The first thing you want your baby to do typically, right? You want to make sure your baby opens his eyes, it can hear, right? And that's the same thing, the principle that I'm building with the AI. Like, well, I have to have it like comprehend, like be able to see, right? So it's got to be able to comprehend the text or whatever the input that I'm putting in, right? It's got to be able to hear. So I got to install like an run a local server, that way it can actually hear voice. It's not just a chat bot. I can actually talk to it, right? And give it voice so that it can speak back. And then even after all those different layers, guys, I have to give it tools to learn, right? Just like you got to teach your kid, just like you had to be taught how to use a screwdriver. It's the same thing, right? Intelligence or that ability to adapt and evolve and know how, that's emergence. That happens that happens over time. That's not instant, right? Your AI models, guys, when we're this is why I harp on AI so much, because all the AI guys, their reasoning, their intelligence level, if you will, they're all going to be the same. But what's going to separate AI models, all of that, right? Hey, bro, I actually do shave it, but man, I pulled an all-nighter, bro. Yeah, I'm looking rough tonight, bro. But thank you, Mark. Um, it's going to be, you got to work on memory, right? Because just like your baby, like how you try to raise it to be, a version of you, if you will, like you try to instill your principles. It's the same thing when you're talking to the AI, right? It's the same, like I got to give it memory so it remembers the past conversation. It isn't just, oh, okay, I put a sentence in, it brings out an output, but it doesn't remember the past question, right? You see what I mean? Like I got to give it memory and context. um I got to give it tools so it can read the stock market. I got to give it tools so it knows how to use the desktop and open its own app. Right now, my LLM, guys, it can open up a Google tab for me straight by voice, right? I can open up Notepad, things like that. Right now, I'm trying to work on it actually doing inputs on a web browser and things like that. And so, one of to get back to what I'm saying, the biggest difference is why I want so many of you guys to get into it is because the future is clear, guys. These AI models, what's going to separate it? We know it's going to happen. It's going to separate, again, a personality. I don't want to say a clone or a replica, but you have to think about your AI, your own individual AI, as, yeah, a mini me, a digital version of yourself, right? So let's say you wanted to build an AI agent. There's a bunch of AI agents that can do the same thing. You know what they're looking for? They're looking for an AI agent that actually sounds human, right? So, for example, you guys listening in, Tommy, if you dare, you got an AI agent that sounds like Tommy, not like a robot. You got an AI agent that sounds like BMU, not a robot. You got an AI agent that sounds like Anton, not a robot. And again, it's not just it sounds like you guys, it has similar cadence, style, the way it talks, the way it responds, right? Those are going to be the things that separate all these AI models and everything like that. So I just wanted to just harp on that a little bit and just tell you guys, please, if you got a computer, by the way, you ain't got no excuse. A lot of you guys got all this hardware and all this tech. Dabble. Please dabble in this stuff. The longer you wait, the longer you procrastinate, the further you will fall behind. And as we know, bro, when you fall behind in this country, it's it's tough trying to catch back up. You know what I mean? Um Huh443 says, love your vibes. Add me so I could join you next stream. Nice to meet you. But yeah, guys, so I just wanted to talk about that real quick, but really to get back into the main topic, guys. If criticizing your country makes you unpatriotic, then how does the country ever improve? I want you guys to think about that for a second. Right? Somewhere along the line, the word patriotism in America got twisted into something it was never supposed to be. These days, a lot of people treat patriotism like it means blind loyalty. Like loving your country means you defend every decision it makes, no matter what. But that's not patriotism, that's nationalism. And those two things are not the same thing, guys. A patriot says, I love my country, which is exactly why I want it to do better. I need it to do better. These are the things it's failing at, which means these are the things we need to improve on. A nationalist says, my country's always right. And if you question it, you're the problem. Like what? You don't love America? Go find another country to live. That's nationalism, guys. A patriot understands that governments are ran by human beings. Screw things up sometimes. Policies fail, leaders lie, institutions make mistakes. If you actually care about your country, you'd want those problems fixed. A nationalist, on the other hand, treats the country like a sports franchise. Their side must always win. Their side must always be good. And anyone pointing problems gets labeled un-American. And that's where fake patriotism shows up. Just want to show this real quick. Let's see. I'm going to pull that up.
See Donald Trump run for president in 2028?
I sure would.
Even though it's against the Constitution?
I sure would like him to run again. I think he's doing an awesome job.
But it is against the Constitution.
Wow, I think he's doing a good job.
But are you a fan of the Constitution? All right, there you have it. Would you like to see?
You see, guys, that's just one example that I have pulled up. 556, appreciate it, bro. It's just one example that I have. Think about it, guys. She's wearing a Trump 2028 hoodie. We have it in our Constitution that a president can only run for 2 terms. Now, remember, FDR did it on that one special occasion because of World War II. And let's be clear, he didn't put himself into office those next 2 terms. He had to run for it, right? And get elected still. But think about that. Guys, that's 80 years ago. We've been established that nobody's doing that anymore. You know what I mean? What's that? Riquez. Sorry, guys, I am horrible with names. Trump 2028. Yikes. You know what I mean? So think about that. Like, is that patriotism to you? Or is that blind loyalty? Guys, that's national. That's dangerous. You can't say you love the country, you love your government, you love the Constitution, but then you just willing to throw away one of the constitutional amendments we got over it just because you like the guy, right? We do not live in a monarchy. We do not live in an authoritarian government. We do not have an authoritarian regime, right? No one is above the law. 556 says, last name Louise and still supporting Trump. Spain ruined your people. All talking to 2020 was stolen. You know, oh, man. This is another sign of, unfortunately, guys, if you could put BMU, Mrs. Louise's chat up that. All right. That 2020 was stolen. Can you please put that in? Right. I guess this one's just attracting the Trumpers tonight. Did you guys know there were about, I believe, 84 people arrested? 84 people arrested over that 2020 election, all on Donald Trump's side. Louise, do you want to know why? Paul, I'm glad this not Mr. Bennett, guys, is another Paul. But it says tell that to the Democrats. You guys, you want to know why? Call up Ricky's fine. Okay. They tried to do the fake elector scheme, I think in Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, where they signed up their own electoral college voters to override the will of the actual electoral college voters to automatically vote for Donald Trump. Oh yeah, Georgia was another state. By the way, people are in jail right now for that. Ricky, was it patriotism to release the Kraken? You know what I mean? Like Four Seasons, lawn and gardening. Like it was a complete joke, and yet here you guys are, 2026, still talking about this. And you know what's crazy? 556, we have to. You know, it sucks. It's a lot of times we got to repeat ourselves because unfortunately for like Ricky and Paul, they're the ones who's also think the SAVE Act that they're trying to pass right now is a real thing. As if you don't already have to prove citizenship when you go and register to vote. And you always had to show some sort of ID to actually vote. Right? So the whole SAVE Act is completely redundant. But it's so funny that I'm going to assume that Paul and Ricky are like conservative leaning. For years, they was limited government. We got to get rid of all the red tape and all this other nonsense. But yet all of a sudden Trump, and now you guys don't believe in none of that. Now we ain't got enough red tape. We got to make it hard as hell. Ricky, what happened to that recording where Trump specifically asked the attorney, was it the state attorney general or whatever his name was, hey, let's just find one more vote than Biden. Right? That's on tape, Ricky. Okay, so when we do what about the real evidence? You know, by the way, you guys bringing up Maricopa County. I believe that's the one in Arizona, right? Right, Paul? Again, do you guys think we forgot? Y'all remember the what were they called? The cyber ninjas? Y'all remember that? The cyber ninjas or cyber Vikings, whatever the hell they were, that were hired by the Arizona officials to go and find fraud. And guess what they didn't find? Any fraud. You know what I mean? But you guys are just going to run it back. And just remember, guys, this is a pretext. Hold up. There was another comment that pulled up. Alex, Ricky is just a Trump cuck. No need to indulge these more. We got to. Again, we got to, because guess what? They're already trying to tee it up to do a national emergency and cancel the midterms. You already hear him. Alex, 556, you already hear Trump. He already warning all the Republican parties, man, if we lose the midterms, it's over for me, guys. They're going to impeach me. They're going to remove me. He's already teeing that crap up. You know what I mean? And by the way, again, like they're going on in the chat right now, but most of the time when we actually find fraud, it's always by conservative dudes. You know what I mean? Like, by the way, Donald Trump had already screwed up his election thing because he got caught voting in both with the New York residency and the Florida residency. But you Trumpers don't care about that, right? It's just like you guys, you say you care about immigration, even though Donald Trump be hiring illegal immigrants at Mar-a-Lago, and you guys want, I mean, that's different. No, Ricky, you don't have the facts because, again, the people that have gone, that are in trial and have gone to jail are all fake elector frauds. All that fraud crap was Donald Trump's side. You know what I mean? By the way, Paul, that Save America Act, they've been talking about that even before the Arizona and Georgia. By the way, why is Tulsi Gabbard involved in these investigations? This is a domestic issue, right? So why is an intelligence chief all up on this crap? Unless, of course, this is dealing with the fact that, oh yeah, that's right, maybe we need Maduro to say, yeah, we tinkered with the elections. Ricky, respectfully, Ricky, 800 million that Fox News had to pay for lying their ass off. Just stop. Them people went to jail. You guys rioted over nothing. Okay, no Kraken got released. Like stop. Okay, even. By the way, did you see any of the testimony, Ricky, of Jack Smith like a few weeks ago? When they already had, like, Trump already admitted that he lost and he went with it. He went through the crap anyway. Like, Ricky, I ain't even got to talk about the articles. Why can't y'all just listen to Trump himself when he says, I knew I didn't lose. I knew I didn't win the election. But guys, this is an example of the difference between patriotism and nationalism, right? I believe Theodore Roosevelt himself said it best, guys. You should pledge loyalty to your country. You don't pledge loyalty to the president. You don't swear an oath to the president. You swear an oath to the Constitution. No, Ricky, you're behind. You're still trying to debate something that's already been settled. Okay, it's been 6 years. Let it go, Ricky. You gotta let it go. All right, Hugo Chavez did not interfere with our election. Okay, right? The voting booths weren't rigged. Stop this nonsense. Paul G, clearly he got more votes than Obama. Paul, is it really all that surprising that in, let's be clear, one of the worst situations we've ever been through, the pandemic, that people were so pissed off that they're going to come out in record amount of numbers? Like, it mattered that much, Paul. You know what I mean? Hell, 2024, Paul, I got to give you think about it, Paul. 2024 was the easiest it ever was to vote. I think even Paul, you and Ricky would agree with me with that. 2024 was the easiest for any American to vote. Didn't all you guys win? You Republicans won every chamber, every branch of government, right? Was that rigged too? You get what I mean? Like, come on, Paul. Am I delusional? Like, would you call me delusional, Paul? I'm actually giving you the win. You know what would be delusional? If I was on this other crap where some of the libs talking about the 2024 election was stolen. You know what I mean? And then look at this dude fire lying, guys. Oh my God. He's talking about ballot harvesting. Is he talking about, I guarantee you he about to reference that dumbass movie that was framed as a documentary, something mules or whatever like that. And look, yeah, fraudulent mail-in voting. Like, hold up, bro. Are you guys real people now, or are you Russian bots? Because now I gotta wonder, guys. Because I mean, like, all of this stuff is debunked already. But now you guys are making this easier for you, making this stream, like, you making my point for me. It's been 6. Anton, nice to see you, by the way.
What's going on, Taroos? What's good?
Anton, it's been 6 years, man.
They still drinking the Kool-Aid, bruh. They still drinking the Kool-Aid.
Woo.
That's that. I mean, the real sad part. The real sad part about all this is when you have a demographic that's so used to being the decision makers, the policyholders, and the gatekeepers. When something doesn't work in their favor for the first time, all of a sudden it's wrong.
Yep.
All of a sudden it's a problem. You know? But it was okay way before all this, and people told them there was something wrong with some of these things. But then all of a sudden, a system that these colonizers have benefited from now works against them. Now it's a problem. Now we got to fix it. Oh, it's fraud. They're too used to having everything that works in their favor. And the minute it doesn't, all hell breaks loose. You know, they're going crazy like there's something wrong. The system's rigged. It's this, it's that, and the other. No, it just didn't work in your favor this time. Deal with it. Because a lot of people that look like you and me, and a lot of other people, are used to being on the other side of this. And we just have to accept it. But now the minute that it works in our favor, now it's a problem. And that's always been the problem with colonizers. They want everyone to be held accountable to these ridiculous contradictory standards that they would never hold themselves to.
Paul. By the way, Anton, I agree. Paul, where are all the voters go for Kamala? They stayed the hell home. We've already been over this.
Yeah.
They stayed the hell home for whatever. And again, as the resident liberal on this network, for whatever reason, well, for whatever the reasons are, I have acknowledged that people just wasn't feeling Kamala, bro. The party just was, especially because that was the height of everybody pissed off at Israel. And Kamala wasn't, and unfortunately, when it came to foreign policy, Kamala wasn't going to swap it up. And so the Democrats stayed home. We talked about, Anton, I'm sure you remember during the 2020, they was talking about all the Arabs in the Michigan. They was just going to stay home. Like people felt disenfranchised, right?
I think
the same issue that we're talking about now with affordability, the country was talking about, was saying Biden was insulting the Americans because he was trying to say things were affordable.
honestly,
Like those were legitimate reasons people stayed home. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah. But my thing also was it was all timing as well. I think if Biden would have just announced at midterms that he wasn't running for re-election, that would have given them the time they needed to get everything set up like a regular primary and everything else. But because he held on to that decision for too long, decided he wasn't going to run, then the Vice President Harris comes in, and she had like 100 days to try to convince the people to vote for her. That's not a lot of time to work with. That's a little over 3 months.
Nope. Anton, unfortunately, they're giving me free ammo. Right? We got this guy. Oh man, I'm sad that there it is. There's that comment. We got this guy, Teak, whatever.
Yes, yeah.
His most recent comment is because Kamala was retarded, just like both of y'all.
Oh, really?
And when you look at his previous comment that he left, the first thing out his dumbass mouth, Hugo Chavez family member invented a voting machine that can cheat.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Wow. Man, they want to keep drinking the Kool-Aid, keep drinking the Kool-Aid. it's you want to take the bigger, you want to be the bigger person and just like ignore it, but at the same time, you just look at them like, yeah, all right, whatever, you know. But like I said,
Go ahead.
when you have a demographic that's so used to having that final say, it's like, really,
Mhm.
come on now, like, bro, like, really, the like, I'm looking at these insults, like, bro, you really don't have to go there. Like seriously, you want to try to play the mature person, and yet here you are throwing these daggers. Really? Come on now. Like that nonsense is not even necessary.
And peace, family. Um, Thanks for having me up.
What's good, Pan?
Who's this?
This is
And
Pan Mulattoism,
how you doing,
and
man? How would you like to be addressed, bro?
Mulatto for short. Thanks for asking.
All
Actually,
right.
Mulatto,
Nice
and
to meet you, bro.
What's
nice to
good,
meet you
mulatto?
both. Actually, and I asked a question because I like what the last brother just said about having a mature conversation because I do see a lot of immaturity on both sides, and we like to throw a lot of shots at each other. But I'll ask you all. Tangibly when it comes to preserving Black American communities in the U.S. Do you acknowledge that mass deportations and reducing immigration to the U.S. benefits Black Americans? Mathematically, I'm asking.
I'm not sure, and I'd like to lean, but I'd overall I lean no, specifically because when I look at just the financials, mulatto, I look at the fact that even when we just account for the federal budget, the immigration, despite not having access to like the federal healthcare benefits, they have a net positive in things like our social security accounts and things like that. They actually have a net positive tax revenue. Um the issues that go for Black American mulatto, I'm not aware, maybe you could help me out here, but I'm not aware of a bunch of Black Americans that were disenfranchised from working in meat processing facilities or were in a rush to work at cattle ranches in Nebraska or pick strawberries down in the South, because these were a lot of the jobs that the immigrants were taking. A lot of the jobs, to be fair, mulatto, a lot of the jobs that would actually affect us is if we're getting an education and then we lost our job, we lost the opportunity to an H-1B holder. That's where I could see more correlation because they're trying to import workers to pay them cheaper instead of paying, a qualified American, especially if unfortunately they look like you and me. But as far as the actual the immigrant community, I don't think I would agree with that.
And well, number one, I'm glad you brought up the H-1B visas because they definitely and arguably take jobs away from U.S. citizens.
Agreed.
Additionally, every housing unit and every job opportunity that goes to an immigrant, whether legally or illegally in the states, that is a job in a housing unit that could have went to homeless and unemployed Black Americans. But notice I never mentioned employment. I'm just saying tangibly, as the total number of immigrants increases in the U.S., the total number of majority Black American cities, towns, counties, and congressional districts is decreasing. And I'll land my plane with this because I never want to be long winded. Actually, Jasmine Crockett's loss is an indicator that Black Americans demographically are being disempowered by the increase of immigrants in the U.S. The reason I say that is because Jasmine Crockett won the majority of the Black American vote, but the majority of Latinos voted against Jasmine Crockett, and as a result, she lost. So we will see more Black Americans losing elections to candidates that the immigrants are voting for, whether that's Latinos, Asians, etc.
So hey Mandrell, how you doing? Um Mulatto, you touched on a few things here. I'm from the state of Ohio, so when it comes to Texas, man, I'm always going to be on the outside looking in, unfortunately. But
Same here.
I know that even still, the elections still run the same, and winning your congressional district is a way different electoral map than trying to run a Senate primary. Your Senate, like that's a completely different demographic map. Like that's you get what I mean? Like you would agree that she's she's probably going to be reelected as a congresswoman fairly easily, right? And so Mulatto, the thing is that remember, this is Texas. Immigration or not, bro, black people have always been disenfranchised in that state, right? So if your argument is that some of that immigration at the lower level will make things worse for us, I can't disagree with that. But if your argument is that that is the specific reason why our community is suffering, I have to disagree with that, Mulatto.
No, actually, what I'm saying, and I brought up Texas specifically because the Texas situation with Jasmine Crockett is something that we can use to foreshadow what will happen throughout the entirety of the United States if Black Americans continue to turn a blind eye to mass immigration. Just as Black Americans' voting power has been essentially diminished in Texas, the same thing can happen in Ohio. The same thing can happen in Maryland, where I'm from. The same thing can happen in Georgia. That's why the initial point I made is that as the total number of immigrants increases in the U.S., what I'm saying is post the 1965 Immigration and Naturalization Acts, the total number of majority Black American cities, towns, and congressional districts and counties as well has decreased. And this is the elephant in the room that respectfully, and I like the tone of the conversation we're having, but this is the elephant in the room that, with all due respect, the Black Democrats refuse to acknowledge, which is we, when I say we, I'm speaking about Black Americans, even though I'm a mulatto. I have to admit that. But we
I'm an
collectively,
Iber like you too, bro.
exactly, we collectively, as descendants of United States chattel slaves, we are forfeiting our communities to other demographics, really, and that's inarguable.
Okay, so man, I agree with you, Mulatto, and I hope you can maybe understand where I'm going to come from with this. I agree with you, but some of the things that you mentioned, I'm not sure if that's a federal problem. Like some of the things that you mentioned might be more state, local issues that we really need to address.
I think it's both, but I agree with you.
No,
It's not just a
I
federal issue.
I do agree. Like, I think you agree with me. It's never just one thing, right? There's multiple things.
Exactly.
It's a whole lot of things.
Yeah. And so one of the things, man, is unfortunately, a lot of like ignorance about how our government structure works. Because sometimes, especially our demographic, Mulatto, sometimes we expect too much out of the federal government and not enough out of our state governments. Right? Like our federal, we a lot of our fellow Americans got to remember that the federal government will pass laws and they just facilitate our tax money. How that actually gets broken down and distributed is at the state level. And unfortunately, Mulatto, I think you can agree, man, there's a lot of people who, again, they know Mayor Mamdani in New York City, but they don't know their own mayor in their own city. Right?
Yes.
They know Jasmine Crockett in Texas, but they don't know who their own congressional district guy is.
Exactly.
Right? Like for example, Mulatto, and I'm gonna land my plane, and Anton, I want you to get in. I live in a red county up here in Northeast Ohio, right, Mulatto? A lot of the people don't realize that if you got what's called like a township or something, if you don't pay attention to your local politics, you don't actually have a mayor, Mulatto. Like here, we don't have a mayor. We actually have a 3-person council that dictates everything. 3-council board, like almost like a HOA.
Okay.
You see what I mean? And but guess what? If you don't pay attention at that local level, you miss all of those things. And then the next thing you're wondering, Mulatto, is why is there a traffic camera on the street? I ain't never seen this before.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's because they're the ones who approved the traffic camera, but we was worried about some dude named Mark Wayne Mullen in Oklahoma. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the times it's our focus and our priorities that's messed up that we need to address first, in my opinion.
Oh,
No, I
definitely.
agree with you. I agree with you.
No, definitely. I agree with you, Taroos, because I live here in New Jersey, and we have cities, we got townships, we got boroughs, and we got villages. We got a little bit of everything when it comes to the municipalities here. And the one thing people don't realize is here there are people that are aware of who their mayors are, the city council, who represents them in Congress, who's their representative in Congress, and who represent and their representatives in Trenton too. So I'll be honest here, we're definitely informed, and we're one of those states where we'll have Democratic senators and a Republican governor. You know, we find a way. I'm not saying we're
Purple state.
perfect. New Jersey. I'm not gonna say we're
Yep.
perfect. I'm not gonna say we're perfect. Trust me, because I'll keep it. I'll keep it a buck. We wrote the book when it comes to you know, like the sleazeball campaigning and everything else. When it comes to a lot of that nonsense and corporate politics, I hate to say it, we the standard bearer. We wrote the book on it. It's been ugly on both. It was ugly on both sides for a very long time, and it took a very long time for it to get cleaned up. Even though there's still some elements, people have to understand how things work, not just at the federal level, but at the municipal, the county, and the state level. And a lot of people don't know that. And it goes back to something I remember Richard Dreyfuss said sometime back, when he was with Bill Maher, and he was doing a fellowship at Oxford. They don't teach civics anymore.
No, we don't.
It's not that they don't teach the government; they don't teach many aspects of the government and how it works, how it's put together, how a bill becomes a law, things like that. People are so I'm not going to say misinformed, uninformed. They don't even realize what's going on. And people have to learn to start really paying attention to what's going on in their neighborhood before you start talking about what's going on in other states. Perfect example. And I remember my wife and I had this discussion. There was a town here in Jersey that changed its name because they wanted to distance themselves from a particular city. And it wasn't because a lot of people voted for it. It was because a lot of people did not know about that. And the very few that knew about it went and voted, and it got done. Actually, two towns here affiliated with one of the cities here. And
Yeah.
because the people didn't want it, no association, the residents wanted no type of association with it whatsoever, they voted to have the name of their towns changed. And ironically, a lot of us who grew up around here, we still call it the old name. We never call it the new name.
And you know what? Actually, what you just said, I'm glad you just brought that up because it kind of it helps me transition to something I wanted to ask both of you. Now, for disclosure, I think that this may be an issue that we may disagree with each other on, but I like to ask Black liberals this question so that we can at least come to a compromise that will benefit the Black American community. Now, like I say, for disclosure, not only do I support mass deportations, I encourage Black Americans to report all immigrants to ICE and let ICE determine if they are in the U.S. legally or not, just from a position of self-preservation. But I suspect, and I may be wrong, but I suspect you all may be against mass deportations. So I'll ask you all, and when I say this is not a loaded question. I'm not trying to put your back against the wall, but my question is, what is mathematically? Do you all have any suggestions on preserving Black American communities in cities where we are the majority and protecting them from being encroached upon by masses of immigrants and even Caucasians, just so that we can preserve Black American cities, towns, counties, etc.
Hmm.
So
You don't
I
want to really. You
completely
really want. You're not gonna want to have to say mulatto because I'm going to keep it a buck. Yeah, I was born and raised here, but both my parents were immigrants. They came here legally and became American citizens.
You see what I'm
oh,
saying?
can you hold on. I'm gonna jump in real quick. I'm gonna answer the question real quick. I wanna highlight something because uh mulatto,
Yes, sir.
this is the kind of things where it makes it complex, because the way I want to answer this question is going to have me sounding exactly like our friend Chaos for You 728 said. The claim that blacks have always been disenfranchised is communist lies. Everybody has been disenfranchised, but for some reason, black supremacists always make it about themselves. So, mulatto, I want to try to answer this question in good faith, but then I got to remember that for a lot of our fellow Americans, mulatto, they don't really care about the distinction. If you need to understand that, at least for the Caucasians or our white brethren that make this argument for mass deportation, mulatto, if you and I got swept on up in it, do you think they would care?
I'll answer your question, but I have to admit, part of our problem is that we see ourselves through the white gaze, GAZE. What I'm saying is, I'm not concerned about how whites see us. I'm speaking about self-preservation as far as how we see ourselves. So to answer your question, no, I don't. I think, to be honest, there are masses, maybe even the majority of whites in the U.S. that don't care if every Black American gets mass deported. But what I'm saying is, do Black Americans care enough about themselves to preserve their own communities? So that's why I
I'm,
asked the
I'm
question to you.
saying, mulatto, we can do both. We can care about our communities and not demonize the immigrants that are not the reason our communities have been struggling.
But you notice I,
I
I'm
mean,
not, I
but
haven't demonized anyone though. Just so we clear, I
no,
haven't
no, no, no.
demonized anyone.
I'm saying, but unfortunately, when as a collective, because I have to make this comment, mulatto. Unfortunately, we live in this country, so we all got to care about what each other think, like it or not, bro. You know what I mean? And that also means getting our white brothers and sisters, our Latino brothers and sisters, hell, ourselves, our own community, up to speed with software updates. And so one of the things we got to make sure we're doing is we're not using uh these horrible talking points that our enemy uses. So for example, mulatto, the reason why Donald Trump, ICE, DHS are having such a hard time finding actual criminals is because, remember, the deporter in chief, Obama, he deported them already, mulatto. He deported the vast majority of
But,
the what we consider criminal.
but
Right.
brother,
So,
with all due respect,
yeah,
every illegal immigrant is a criminal. But I have
I
to say
disagree
this,
with that.
and
I
it'll be brief.
disagree with that. Respectfully, I disagree with
Well,
that.
if you
And
went to
the
that
law
country
disagree
illegally,
with it.
if
And the
you went
law,
to that, if you went to that country illegally, would you be a criminal? I'm asking.
yes. And guess what? We
All
don't
right,
live in that country. We live here in
we
America.
live in the U.S., so they
And
came to
what
the
is
U.S.
the and
illegally.
what mulatto? Because I acknowledge you're right. In this country, is it illegal?
Yes.
No, it's not.
All
It's a
right.
civil
Well,
offense. It's a civil offense.
that means they committed a crime. A civil offense is still a
That is
crime.
not. Oh, now I gotta pull it up, bro.
All right, please pull it up, but let's not have ADHD. Do you have any suggestions on preserving the Black American community that is actually being ethnically
A
displaced by
civil.
immigrants and whites?
I'm all about preserving the black community altogether.
Of course, but with all due respect, what country are your parents from? I'm not
The
saying that
first
to
black
attack you.
republic.
Say it again.
The first black republic.
Haiti. Now watch this. Now you're Haitian. Would you want Jamaicans and Trinidadians to outnumber Haitians in Haiti? Be honest.
Bro, we
No,
got
right?
hit. Bro, we got
Oh,
Haitians not just here. We got Haitians not just here in the States. We got
I know
Haitians
y'all
in Canada.
everywhere, but did you hear the question, brother?
Yes, I did. I hear what you
Okay,
said.
so would you want Jamaicans These are other black people we're speaking about. Would you want Jamaicans to outnumber Haitians in Haiti? Yes or no, brother? Be honest.
No,
You're not.
Honestly,
no.
we share the same ancestry.
Yeah, but did you hear the
Jamaicans,
question
and
though, brother?
Haitians, and Trinidadians and Guyanese, a lot, and Dominicans and Cubans
I'm
and
not
Puerto Ricans.
disagreeing with
We
that, but did
all
you hear the
we
question,
all
brother?
share the same ancestry.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm asking, would you want Jamaicans to outnumber Haitians in Haiti? You're not wrong for saying no, brother.
No,
Okay, black
it's more than just
Americans
about.
don't.
I understand,
So you understand exactly where I'm coming
mulatto.
from.
I
Then.
understand the importance of self-preservation. I'm not
Exactly,
going to knock you on that. I
exactly,
understand the importance of self-preservation, and it
exactly.
is important. But
So that's
here's
why.
the thing. Here's the thing you got to remember.
All right, go ahead,
You got blacks here, not black Americans. You got blacks here from different parts of the Caribbean that have
brother.
helped,
We know that
that
you're here,
came.
brother.
Say again.
We know that you're here. But do you realize when I'm speaking about preserving?
Mulatto, I'm gonna answer your question. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
I'm
Can
gonna
I
cut
can I
in.
say one
I'm gonna
sentence to
add,
the listeners, though,
no,
please?
no, 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 no. I'm gonna
No.
answer.
All right. Well, after you make your statement,
I'm,
I'll go. Go ahead.
I'm gonna answer your question. A civil offense, infraction, not a crime, no criminal record. Usually just results in a fine. Like I told you. So
So you
again,
agree that they're
bro,
here illegally?
respectfully, Mulatto, we live here in America. So I'm going to deal with American law, not
Yes.
whatever law to the country you want to point to. Okay, respect.
No, let's talk about the U.S. Is a civil offense
Yes.
illegal? Yes or no?
I literally just told you it's not a crime.
I didn't
A
say it's a
civil
crime. I said, is it
infraction.
illegal?
I literally no. I'm going to repeat myself again.
Yes.
Civil infraction / offense, not a crime, no
I heard
criminal
that part.
record, usually just a fine.
You said it's not a crime, right?
Yes,
I'm
it's
asking,
not a
is it
crime.
illegal? With all due respect, is a civil offense illegal? Yes or no?
So now we gone from is it a crime to is it illegal?
They are illegal immigrants. Is the point? That's checkmate.
Are they
Respectfully.
defined as illegal immigrants, or if we went to the .gov, would they define them as undocumented immigrants?
Well, on the WhiteHouse.gov,
Since now you want to be
I'm trying to
tactical
answer your question.
about it.
I'm trying to answer your question. On
Yeah.
WhiteHouse.gov, they are defined as illegal immigrants because that's what they are. And you see, when I speak about preserving Black American communities, this triggers you. I don't understand why. Can I
Sir,
ask that?
it's not triggering me. I told you before. You're trying to make a correlation between the illegal immigrants and what's happening to our community, and that's not the reason our community is distressed.
No, I'm asking a question. Do illegal immigrants not live in Black American communities?
They live everywhere.
Exactly. So the housing that illegal immigrants occupy in Black American communities, could that same housing not go to homeless Black Americans?
They can go to homeless children. They could go to homeless
Exactly.
pets. And guess what?
You just said it.
I have no. Mulatto, I have had the same argument when unfortunately my conservative friends in the military. And this is such a low-hanging fruit talking point because guess what? Even if mass migration, like let's say we did exactly how you wanted to, Mulatto, guess what happened after we got rid of the illegal immigrants?
Well, you're not a psychic, but I would like to hear your suggestion.
Mulatto. There still be Black homeless people. There still be Black veterans that are homeless. There's still be children that are homeless. And you want to know why? Because the government in charge has never given a damn about those.
I agree.
They only care when somebody brings up another topic. Then it's oh, what about this? What about that?
No, I hear you.
And
now,
so
my question is, do we care about ourselves?
One of the ways we need to preserve our communities is a better education. That way we're not demonizing the wrong people.
I agree. Now,
The one thing I always remember.
Hold on, bro. I'm trying to respond to the host, please. Now I'm asking, do we care about ourselves enough to preserve our communities? Because I don't see myself through the white man's gaze like you do. You see yourself through the white man's gaze. That's a problem. I'm asking, do you care
through all of American gaze,
brother? You look at yourself through the white man's gaze.
Mulatto, I see myself through your gaze. Do you not
exactly?
understand that?
So let's have a dialogue. Through my gaze, I'm saying that Black Americans need to practice self-preservation. How are we preserving our communities? By allowing not just whites to gentrify our communities, but illegal aliens to occupy housing and jobs in our communities. How is it self-preservation?
So the illegal migrants, first and foremost, are not the reason we can't afford a home. Because by the way, I don't know too many illegal immigrants. Anton, you can help me out. Maybe I don't know too many illegal immigrants who are getting $400,000 home mortgages.
That's
It's
That's not
almost
true.
as,
Yeah, you're wrong about that.
it's
You're
almost
wrong
as
about
if
that.
they're not actually eligible to get those kind of things.
Yeah, you're actually
Right?
wrong
And,
about that.
and by
But
the
go
way,
ahead.
Mulatto, even before whatever migrants you want to talk about, that's always been a problem in our community.
I
You
agree.
see,
So when will we solve the problem?
no. But no. You keep saying you agree, but then you
Yes.
keep framing it as if the migrants are the direct
Yeah,
reason
they're part
for
of the problem. Yes, they're
Yes,
part of
they're
the problem.
part.
Yes,
They're part of the reason it's increased, but they're not. They're not the
exactly.
solution.
So
They're
when will
not the
we address it?
solution or the root problem.
When will we
That
address
is
it,
the
brother?
band-aid solution.
You agree that they're part of the problem. When will we address the problem? I'm asking.
The problem has always been addressed. We've always kicked out the
Brother, how?
violent illegals. Yeah.
And
And by
let
the
me
way,
just say
I
this.
told you that the
Why are you
deporter in
making
chief
this a
Obama.
contentious discussion because you're triggered because you know I'm right? Respectfully. You
Wait.
see how
So
respectful I'm being towards you? Look how
I'm
triggered you
just
are. Your face is
re-
red. You're sweating.
res- well, one, I'm not sweating, and two, I'm just
Brother, your
answering
head
your
is shining.
question
Brother, your head is shining.
because I'm bald.
Because you're sweating and bald. Now I'm
That doesn't
asking, what's your suggestion on
make
preserving
any
Black
sense.
American communities?
BMU, get them off. Get
You
them
got
off.
to run. You got to run,
Yeah,
brother. I'm gonna
get 'em
clip this
off.
up. I'm gonna clip it up.
Yeah, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Peace be upon you.
Peace be upon you, bro. So this is another example, Anton, of why it's so hard to have these conversations, especially when look at all the activity we got between patriotism and nationalism.
Yeah, I see it. And I was
Right?
trying to tell when I was trying to tell him is we forget in history during the times of segregation and Jim Crow, we found a way to build from within. We sometimes build things much better than these colonizers, and they didn't like that. So we need to get back to that. We need to start building from within our communities. We never had a problem doing that before. We
But
did
see,
that mainly not only to
see, the problem is that think about what you just said. That's been a problem whether or not illegal immigrants has been a thing prior to, right? That's been an ongoing problem for hundreds of years. Right? And yet somehow we got a percentage of our community that wants to focus on the people who don't write the laws, who aren't responsible for any of the things like redlining.
Yep.
Right? I mean, think about it. He mentioned gentrification and then went right back to the illegal immigrants who got nothing to do with
but,
that.
But ironically,
you see like
they're not the ones building these overpriced condos and everything else. No. They're not the ones knocking out these mom and pop businesses that have been around for the last 30, 40, 50 years and replacing them with a retail giant. But hey, that's
you know what's crazy is that the illegal migrants, Anton, getting kicked out has made the housing prices even more affordable for Black Americans and white Americans and other Americans. You know what I mean? But we only want to look at things from a one-sided, again, like I mentioned before, team sport. Right? Like he's so worried about the white man, but bro, we live in this country with everybody. Like the last time I checked, chat, we're a melting pot. Oh, is that not true?
People always thought it was the melting pot. I felt it was always a salad, but that's a different story.
And then whatever policy we need to get past, guys, we're only 13% of the population. So we inherently need a coalition of non-Black people to vote side by side with us to get any sort of policy passed. So yeah, not unfortunately, because I love my fellow Americans. Yeah, I gotta care about what they think, just like they better care about what we think. Because we all live in this damn country. Did somebody else join us?
I think someone did.
Yes, peace. Yes, peace and blessings. Just wanted to let you fellas know my name is Black Manosphere, and I'm here. I'm in the building. Peace and blessings.
Nice to meet you, Black Manosphere. My name's Taroos.
Antoine, pleased to meet you, bro.
Peace. Yes, indeed. Peace.
You
Floor
want
is
to say
yours,
something?
bro.
Oh, okay. I see we're talking about nationalism and patriotism and things like that. Illegal migration, a lot of different topics and things we're discussing here.
You're
My
all over the.
thoughts, yeah, it's all good. My thoughts and opinions about immigration and illegal immigration is the government and laws problems. Like that has nothing to do with nationalism or patriotism or anything. I think that's a law type of thing, not the government's thing. So they have to deal with that. It's in their jurisdiction. That's one thing. Community, I think, is based upon families and relationships. Those are what build strong communities. So if you have bad relationships right now and people not getting together, marrying and having families, I think that will affect the communities. So I look at them as two different things. And as far as nationalism and patriotism, so far as I've been a young black man in school, and you know what I mean, reciting I pledge allegiance to a flag of the United States of America.
Oh,
That stuff was just that stuff. That stuff was just a morning routine. I never took that to heart. You know, like I gotta die for my country and all these. As a matter of fact, I came up very pro-black and like I don't really care about America or what they think. I've always known that the government and law do not care about life, do not care. They use people, right? And so I came up with a lot of rebel to America, if anything. You know what I mean? As a born and raised American and Black American. So these are some of my viewpoints on some things. I don't want to dominate the conversation. Just want to give a few viewpoints on the different topics.
I appreciate that, man. Just to address like some of your points, I really feel you on like. I want to be clear here, man. That pledge allegiance to the flag. I want to say this, Black Manosphere, as a guy who was in the military with combat service. That's textbook fascism. If you got to stand up every damn day and recite the Pledge of Allegiance, and then remember, Black Manosphere, we got the nerve to call everybody else commies and shit like that.
Yeah. But
You know what I mean?
also served in the military as well. And I think at the time, I think the reason behind the Pledge of Allegiance, if I remember, was during the time of the Cold War.
Yeah, Cold War rhetoric. You remember McCarthyism?
Mm-hmm.
believe
I
that's
read
what they
about
call
that.
it, the Red Scare,
Better
all that.
dead than red, and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we still got way too many traces of the Cold War era. Hell, at this point, guys, I don't even know if we actually exited that. It seems like we're trying to run that back, but I digress.
Yeah.
Black Manosphere, with your comment about how our community with relationships and things like that, I completely agree. What I tend to focus on, like the more infrastructure, the more utilitarian kind of viewpoint, Black Manosphere. And so I'm always looking at it from a functionality standpoint of, man, our society is so dysfunctional because from the top down, our leadership is dysfunctional, right? As a country, we ain't got no direction. And then you look all the way down to, I guess, our household, Black Manosphere, it's almost lacking direction, right? And a lot of that,
I agree.
a lot of that trickle down.
I agree. I think this is all the free. Yeah, no problem. This is the freedom that we all wanted. You know what I mean? To not have to do anything and to only do what you want to do. So you can't give people freedom and they have to elect to want to be locked down, or how they look at marriage and relationships. And I don't think people want to be responsible for other people anyway. You know what I mean?
I got to disagree with that, man, because I think a lot of people, that's natural. Black Manosphere, like I disagree with you, man, because I think a lot of people do want that relationship, but Black Manosphere is too expensive, right? Like right now, Black Manosphere, the things that disproportionately affect the community, things like our K-shaped economy, you're familiar with those economic terms, right? Like we got a lot of people, our K-shaped economy, Manosphere, we got a lot of people either their net worth is going sky high or their net worth is dropping down. And so Black Manosphere, or 50% of our consumer spending is being done by only 10% of the population. Right? So Black Manosphere, how hard is it to maintain a relationship if you can't do shit? If you're always on survival instinct? Like, bro, I'm sure you want
I
to take your
agree.
family. I'm sure you want to like as structural, as organized, as much of a plan as you hope you can have for your woman and your family. You know what you also want to do, bro? You want to go on a cruise to the Bahamas, right? You want to be able to take your family out to go eat and dinner and a movie, that kind of stuff, right? You want to take them to an amusement park too, right? It's hard to do those family, household, community type things when everybody is just on survival mode.
That makes sense because there's a difference. There's a difference. You do things out of survival, or you want to do things to thrive and grow. And if you've never grew up or had anyone explain to you the importance of trying to thrive and grow and take advantage and get out of your, what you've always known and have a chance to explore, that's what happens. You're always going to think of survival and think, I have to do it like this and I have to be here, not realizing how big the world can be. But some people are just too afraid or not willing to take that chance to take that step.
Yeah, I think, nobody's gonna cry for us if we don't get to go on a cruise or take the family on vacation. And all these things sound great, and you're absolutely right, sir, with your assessment. But those are all a dream. You know what I mean? I can only count the penny that's in my pocket, right? And so that's where I work from. You know what I'm saying? And if anything else comes about, then that's great.
Yeah.
But at least, a baseline of being able to have some things and maintain. I don't even think we're even getting baseline things before we can even save up to get to the cruise and things like that. So, but I agree with you. I would love to do all those things, but I don't need to do all those things. And I can work at a minimum basis without all those things at the same time.
Sure, you can, just like most of us men up here can probably be cool with lounge chair, a bean bag, and a flat screen TV and a PS5, bro. But guess what? Our women don't want to deal with that. Our kids don't want to deal with the basement. Like when you ask for a family,
do you have the woman in the case?
Yeah. I mean, but
and
that's
are they begging for those things? Like, is it really a problem and issue within the relationship? And
So I can only speak from a limited experience, Black Manosphere, but I've been married. This April is going to be 18 years, right? I got two girls, 17 and 15-year-old, man.
I got 16 years. August will make 17 years. I have
so we in the same
kids.
boat.
I have 5 kids, 4 girls and a boy, and 3 grandsons.
What kind of fun things do you do? Do you like if you got boys like that? Have you ever hopped on the sticks with them, played the game with them?
Manosphere?
Oh, you talking to me? Oh, I don't have any children. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't have any children here. I'm sorry.
All right.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Would you like to do that?
I mean, nephews and cousins and things like that. Yeah, I hop on the sticks with them and do things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't really do that if you broke as hell, right? Right? Like you can't, like Black Manosphere, you want to talk about the structural things, but a lot of these dudes a lot of dudes and women they can't even afford to go on a date now. Like, bro, like you're seeing Black Manosphere. I'm sure if you've been to the bars or anything, I know you know how much them drinks cost now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've never had a problem. I personally have never had a problem in those areas. Like I could spend money and you know what I mean, like drinks and things. Food, like
we're talking about the collective now. I'm not talking about you.
Now I'm about to address the collective. Now I'm about to address the collective. So as far as collective, we don't even want to date like that. And dating has been dead for a long time. We've been living in a hookup culture. We don't have to get with a woman through a process of, hey, can I take you out? And can I buy you drinks? And can I do that? Like, we're in the technology and social media era of things and making things move quickly. So we're not, I think maybe that may be thing in between dating and relationships and things like that. But I know we move quickly as far as the collective.
Yeah, and as a collective, Black Manosphere, I'm gonna let Grant get in. He's been waiting patiently,
Sure.
but as a
That's good,
collective,
Grant.
Black Manosphere, as a collective, we work too long. Despite having advanced technology, which was promised by our elites to make our lives a little bit easier, that I think even you would admit it'd be nice to spend time with your family, have time to do things with a significant other,
I think what it
right?
is also,
Yeah,
Taroos,
yeah.
we don't have a balance to where we can still work and have time to be with our families.
Well, and that's what I was getting at is we're
I didn't mean to
talking
cut you
about.
off. My
Oh, no, you're good. But that's what we're talking about. Anton and Manosphere is, guys, we're trying to have these very pro-family, pro-life lifestyles in a very hyper materialistic society.
Uh-huh.
It's clashing. And right now, what we're seeing, Manosphere, is almost the end game of that clash, right? And so we're talking about trying to take care of the community, man. Well, guess what? Something's got to sacrifice. Either your community values are going to sacrifice, or your wallet is.
Yep.
So, Grant, go ahead, man.
I
Nice seeing you again, man. How you doing?
Yeah, doing well. I mean, great opening on the, your critiques of sort of fake patriotism in a sense. Obviously, I think all of it's corrosive, correct? It creates these unnecessary in and out groups. I think what's even more insidious, correct, is when you get African Americans who then embody it. While that same nationalism wants to put their boot on their neck, they're turning around so they can lick the bottom of the boot, which just seems extraordinarily dumb. So on the one hand, they can hear that person draped in a flag who calls them the N-word, and still in turn drape that same flag on them and plug their ears and pretend that that nationalism doesn't want to harm them, that they're not included in the we or us, and often it blinds them to the idea that the same words that they're using against immigrants and migrants and others are being used against them by a much larger group who don't like them at all. And what you notice is that the moment that you say, hey, have you thought about this? They quickly sort of spiral back into, well, what about the immigrants? And I think it all comes from nationalism, patriotism doesn't require you to think. It just says you're with us and they're on the outside. And so you have to keep sort of shoving things into your ears to shield yourself from actually hearing coherent thoughts. And even using the more insane sort of ideas like, well, what would you do if another country? Now, I've been lucky enough to reside in other countries. They have immigrants. They have a lot of illegal immigrants. And even places in which I think some of the less smart individuals who think they've actually know the world, which is clear by every word that's uttered out of their mouths, they don't know about. So you can take places like Japan, which has a very strict immigration policy, but they have a lot of both immigrants and they have illegal immigrants or people who have overstayed their visa. Is more like it, correct? It's an island. You can't sneak over the border per se. And true. Yes, the Japanese don't like it. But at the end of the day, there is a very broad sense of what each country is doing and having to deal with very real economic problems that come along from immigration. I will also point out one thing about immigration that gets lost in this. Prices are actually stabilized, or at least in the way that inflation works in the United States. And I won't get into the sort of mechanisms of how economics have worked since the 1980s. But in essence, the moment you move to a largely financialized system that we have here in the States, correct? You need a significant amount of cheap labor to by and large, which is our farming, which allows for Americans to have a particular lifestyle that we've had so far, even if we see some level of degradation within middle to lower incomes. If you remove this floor of immigrants who have flowed into the United States to do the labor that most Americans, if not all Americans, refuse to do, both because most don't want to do it, and number two, the wages on those would never allow for you to live this magical husband-wife life that you're pretending to have or want. You're not raising your family on picking corn, correct? That's not going to happen. So for those who have these fantasies that these sort of blue collar, hardworking jobs are out there, that the immigrants came along and stole the most precious job from you, it just doesn't map towards reality, unfortunately. Yeah. And I think it's hard to sort of unravel this sort of world that I think a lot of young people or people are sitting in, because I don't think they quite have thought through their sort of broad strokes of what they perceive about nationalism, or what they perceive about patriotism, or even what they perceive about themselves as a man, or what they perceive themselves as, as a human within the United States. And I think it's quite harmful, I think. And especially if you're talking about for African Americans being better, correct? So let's say you believe that Black people are being disenfranchised. To completely close your eyes and say, ignore white people in this, who are still the majority, and just pick like the 2 Cubans you don't like. It's just the most insane thing ever. It's like you can see 1,000 white dudes robbing you, and you see 2 Cubans on the odd, or Haitians. You're like, get those Haitians. And you're like, there's like 1,000 white dudes robbing you. They're like, yeah, but they're cool, man, because they have the same flag as me. But those Haitians who haven't quite done anything to me, I would like to see harm done to them. And I think that's it's a very strange way to walk through the world. And I'm not saying that I'm for unfettered immigration into the United States. I just think that if you are this unhinged about illegal immigration and don't see billionaires taking money out of your pocket, you really are on a strange set of pot or weed that you're smoking, to be this delusional about what is actually stripping wealth out of your pocket. And that is, to me, is what we have to get to in all of this.
Before you other guys get in, just want to highlight some of the guys in the chat. Scyther, God, man, I need to work on my pronunciation. Scyther Lima, good seeing you. The Lunatic Libertarian, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Taroos, get some bifocals.
Yeah, man. JT, it's good. The bad guy Dallas, how y'all doing, man? Oopster, good. Oh yeah, DBS was up in the chat earlier. I wanted to shout him out. Nice seeing y'all. Mills, good seeing you. Oh man, we got a lot. Go ahead, Anton.
Honestly, no, I like what Grant had said, because it does make a lot of sense. It's so easy to get caught up in the semantics. It's so easy to get caught up in, this person doesn't look like me, they have to be the threat. Not realizing that the threat looks just like looks just like you. And let's be honest, and Grant makes the point, colonizers have always been guilty of that. They see us as the threat, but yet their best friend, their brother, their sister, their parent is the one that's really the problem. And they never want to acknowledge or admit that. And that's always been the problem. Everyone else, every other demographic, have had to acknowledge any mistakes they made. We have made. In one way, shape, or form. Colonizers will always find a way to make themselves the exception to the rule.
And that's why education is important, because they need to be on. We need to make sure everybody is on the same page, right? Like, guys, we've been fed a bunch of crap. This society is not a meritocracy. Okay, the only meritocracy that exists in America is maybe our sports. Okay? Maybe. We don't have a free market. That shit's been rigged for years. All right. We have to acknowledge, and guys, this goes back to our big point. Every time y'all make a statement, always try to bring it back, even when you're cooking, because this goes back to patriotism versus nationalism. Right? We treat everything like team sports, and we don't want to acknowledge what our country is and isn't. And a lot of
Mhm.
times, guys, it's because it's really easy to accept, again, the true definition of blue pill, right? You just accept your reality, or you just want to be blind, and you want to just deal with levels of comfort. But then, don't it suck sometimes, guys? Because the more you're aware, aka being red pill, the more you're aware of what this country is and isn't, man, sometimes that shit gets depressing, right? It's like the old say, ignorance is bliss.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Just saying,
My
just saying that. Go ahead.
yeah, my personality was I always like the truth. I don't care how hard it is, how misunderstood it is. I don't care the level. I'm just a truth seeker. I want the truth.
Exactly. Exactly. And the thing people don't realize is the reason why it's important to know every aspect of history, unlike what Black Manager said, the good, the bad, the ugly, because this is what you do. You take the good and you build it to make it better. You take the bad and you learn never to go down that road. Because we always hear the term, those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. How many times we've probably been on this hamster wheel and not even realize it? Because we don't want to accept the
Exactly.
truth. Or it goes back to what Jack Nicholson said in the movie A Few Good Men. You can't handle the truth. And that's been the problem for a lot of people. They don't want to accept it. They don't want to handle it. As hard and as ugly, as cold that it may be, they will do whatever it takes to
Keep that.
avoid it because because they want to feel better about themselves. Not realizing that if you learn that hard, ugly truth, you can learn from it and become a better version of who you currently are.
Think about how easy people just accept low standards and just go out of their way to try to be like, nah, there's somebody pulling the strings behind the curtain. Imagine a multi-billionaire like Jeff Bezos, who's able to shut down a whole damn city in Italy just to get married. And then I got my fellow Americans going, oh, no, he ain't pulling the strings. Somebody else must be pulling the strings.
Yep.
They literally play right in front of our face. And you still got people going, no, not that. Hey, he hires 1 million people. He's one of the good ones.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that historically, guys, corporations, right? They lobby against raising the federal minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about corporations who, again, guys, if they could legally bring back indentured servitude, they would do it in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah.
They're all these billionaires have already been looking for different ways to not pay us. But that blind loyalty got you thinking, oh, the billionaires know what's good for us. The billionaires, by the way, the billionaires are responsible for our oil infrastructure. So the billionaires are the reasons we can't even process our own oil we produce in our ground. We drill from the ground. Think about that. Think about that, guys. If the government decided to invest money in oil facilities to process the oil in our own country, half the comment section would be calling that shit communist. That is the reality. The reality is fixing our roads and bridges is Marxist, socialist bullshit. That's what it gets called. Basic roles of government is considered the deep state.
Yeah.
It's considered police state. You know what's not considered the police state? The Patriot Act. You know what somehow is not considered the police state? Funding billions upon billions of dollars on ICE and DHS. You know what's not considered the police state? All that money we're building for temporary immigration facilities, detention facilities. Guys, if we're kicking out all the illegals, but then they're still building more facilities, that's not a red flag to you guys? They're probably planning on putting somebody else up in there, aren't they? But no, patriotism or your nationalism will have you demonizing the migrants who ain't even going to be sitting in the facilities. It's going to be people who look like you and I going to be sitting there. Or the help. The people that struggle. Go ahead, Grant. I know you want to hop in.
Yeah, you're cooking. Yeah, I call it the deification. It's the broad in essence, they don't like the billionaires, but they like the billionaires they like. Correct. In essence, you can find all the crackpots who definitely know Bill Gates is a bad billionaire because they've been fed. And that doesn't mean I agree with Bill Gates. I'm just saying, but they fundamentally know Bill Gates is evil now, and I'm not sure that they've got it from a good place, but they're very sober about his evilness. And I'm sure some of the trolls will probably show up and say, well, he is, but then they will bend over backwards with their throat wide open for another billionaire who's orange. And will say that that person is so amazing because they are a billionaire and they're benevolent and they love him. And so, but they've always used,
that's called an autocrat, right? I think that's the term they use it.
Yeah.
Something like that.
An
Technocrat.
autofat. I call him an autofat.
Okay.
And so in essence, and again, this deification and this ability to be amorphous, and you see it. You'll see like, well, you shouldn't give your vote because none of them do well. I mean, you can be so broad and completely untethered to nuance that you can always otherize them. Like, well, the billionaires, they're all bad. But once the brass tacks comes along of explaining, like, okay, how do you then solve this problem? If the billionaires don't have to pay taxes, which you could agree that's a position point. But then how do you pay for schools or how do you pay for infrastructure? And then they'll say, well, government shouldn't tax. Okay, then again, if no governments don't tax, that means that there's no schools or we're going to teach each other. But then they're going to complain about the Chinese taking over who are actually paying for their schools. The thing about it is they can't get beyond this point of having been so propagandized with this ideas that the things that they believe are truly patriotism. And it's untethered. It is so it's so unthinking. And I think the part that makes it even sadder is that they have their chest out. And the moment you go, then who teaches these kids? But then they'll come on and also say, well, we need more families. Well, do you want them to read? Well, yes, but I don't want them to be indoctrinated with the liberals or something and queers or whatever the hell they come up with. And you're like, is that really the thing that's harming you? And like, who's reading that? And then they'll go, well, I want to homeschool. But I'm listening to you talk, and you have a vocabulary of maybe 100 words, which means that your child is more than likely to have a similar 100-word vocabulary, which would not work in a modern world. And this is where if you've been told enough, correct, that you're living in this great country, and I call this greatness by proxy. You hear it all the time. You hear this thing like, well, white people did this. It's like, no, that white person did it. You're dumb. You flip burgers. And the thing is, you've never done anything worthwhile. So I need you to go ahead and take my $20 bill and give me my change back. Just because that one white person did something, it has nothing to do with your greatness. But again, if you can sort of say, well, this one white person long ago, which again is all sort of made up, because there's this moment, correct, that people are using sort of, well, we founded this nation on democracy. And they're like, and we were the first constitution. And you're like, they got this from the French and the English, you dumb dodo. You do realize that this didn't come out of the founding fathers' magic hats of democracy and America. Like the structures we have come from the French. It comes from the English. It comes out of, for some of you don't know, from the Enlightenment age, correct? The French Revolution. And again, because they don't know these things, they make this exception that says, the America's great because someone told me I've been great this whole time. I happen to live in America. Therefore, that greatness is bestowed upon me. And then, therefore, everyone else who hasn't had the crown of greatness given to them, therefore, they can't be as great as me. And then for some African Americans or Black Americans who know that they are not as great as white, they, for whatever reason, they know that they're quite not white in a sense. You can kind of hear it, and they're like, white men are great. They'll then take it down to a layer and say things like, well, there was a Black inventor once, and they go, well, that means Black people are smart. I'm like, no. Black people, brains are capable of learning. Your brain isn't. It's clear that your brain isn't capable of that because, again, going back to your inability to understand basic concepts. Do not besmirch the greatness of this Black man who did something. You, on the other hand, you cannot bestow greatness on yourself just because someone else who happened to share melanin with you, a shade of melanin with you, or some structural ethnicity or nationality with you. That just isn't how it works. And I think the problem we're running into is the longer we sit and we try to do greatness by proxy, we try to have a transfer, however it means, you can't solve problems. And I think this is where we're struggling. And the conversations about, well, I'm this, we're Americans and we kick butt all over the world. Do we though? I mean, when was the last war we won? We're like name that war. Mind you, the same people who have this patriotism.
I think that was World War II.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I believe that was World War II because Korea was a ceasefire.
Yep. Stalemate.
The Gulf War in the 90s was the last one.
My bad. Sorry, I forgot, Taroos. My bad. But you get what I'm saying.
No, Anton, it was still a long time ago.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm saying, but it's a very tough thing, correct, to say like what we're doing, and that doesn't necessarily take away from the people who having to put their lives in danger for the stupidity of leaders. But what it's pointing out is you cannot sit here and cheer on the barbarism of despots, correct, and then just assume that the people who are truly going to be in harm's way, their lives are just meaningless in this chaos. It's meaningless in your stupid nationalism that you want other countries to be bombed or destroyed, or that you want their economies to collapse. I think what's happening here is that people perceive that somehow the moment that the world economies collapse, correct, that we can all put ourselves in an American flag tent and go, well, we're just Americans. We'll see what's going to happen after we can put our crown of thorns over our head that's made out of Trump flags, and that somehow is going to inoculate us from the chaos that will ensue. It won't. And we're seeing that play out right now. And I think we have to become a little bit more sober about how nationalism has completely turned into a religion for us, for many of us. And it is becoming not just some sort of fringe identity. It is sort of metastasized.
This is mainstream, Grant.
Yeah.
It's gone mainstream. This Grant, Anton, do we got still Black Manosphere in here? Not.
Yes, sir. I'm here. I'm still here.
All right,
I'm
good.
still
All
here.
right,
Yeah.
We've seen this creep up through the years, this performative patriotism, right? Maybe slap a bumper sticker on your car. We've seen this morph into churches. Guys, we got churches that literally have like the Church of AR-15 or some crazy shit like that, right? Like it's a church that has they rifles all up in there, and that's part of the worship, right? You guys have heard this: God, guns, God, Bible, guns, right? Like exactly what Grant was talking about. Wrap yourself in the flag. And unfortunately too, this nationalism goes back to Anton's point with the kids and some of those. I'm not going to say all of them, but a lot of the white people, you see how they like to go back and forth between when they want to just be Americans and when they're proud of their European heritage. We know if the minority population was way lower, including us, they'd already have universal health care. We'd have public transportation. We'd have these things. But of course, this fake patriotism, this loyalty nonsense, this is why in the 50s we had a rise in private schools, because they didn't want their kids, right? When segregation was starting to be brought down, They didn't want their kids going to school with black kids. They knew some of the white kids weren't going to be able to afford the school, but they knew none of the black kids were going to be able to go to the school. And we still got schools to this day, private institutions that come up from that era. Right. And so we know this, that a lot of this patriotism, if we all look the same, I guarantee you our patriotism would be a lot more. But because we don't, and because we actually have to act like this is a melting pot, because it is, you get this weaving in and out, right? Like, oh, I'm proud of my European heritage. Okay, well, let's have healthcare like the Europeans. No, that's commie.
Yeah, exactly. Can't see what I mean? And here's the thing. Like,
hold on, Anton, I'm gonna let you cook. I'm gonna land the plane right here.
All right.
Switzerland has one of the highest gun ownership rates in the world.
I know, I got family there.
Right. But guess what, Anton, Grant, Black Manosphere? If we were to take the laws and policies of Switzerland and put them in here, there'd be riots in the streets of people calling that shit commie.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Anton.
Exactly. No, like, here's the real crazy part most people didn't realize. Like, for example, I remember reading, this is in Germany. A friend of mine told me about this in Germany. You can have maternity leave for up to a year and still get paid. And that also goes for paternity leave. 1 year.
Fathers get it too.
Yeah, 1 year, and you still get paid from your job. And you don't have to worry about losing your job. Now, the closest thing we got to something like that in the United States, we have paternity and bonding leave. And if I remember, there's only 3 states that offer paternity and bonding leave. And if I remember, it's New York, California, and the third one is something I definitely know, here in New Jersey. And I remember people thought I was crazy to take advantage of something like that. Why would you do something like that? It's offered by the state. That's something we never had before. Well, guess what? It works. No. 3 of my youngest kids, my 3 youngest kids that my wife and I have, all 3 of them spent time in the NICU. And the thing is, me taking that time off from work made it easier for me, made it easier for my wife, and made it easier for our kids to come home from the hospital.
And that is so important for you as a father to be there when it matters most, Anton. When it matters most. And yet, in one breath, right? We've seen it panel to panel around these YouTube streets. On one thing, we got to be masculine and we got to be working and we got to do all of these. Well, when you actually going to have time to be there for your family?
Exactly.
Like, your wife just finished giving birth. You telling me as a man, I'm not important enough to be there with my newborn child? And you know who says that, Anton? Other men. It's us screwing each other over on that kind of crap.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the importance of fatherhood while screwing over the guy who actually wants to be a father. You know,
facts.
Take it, guys. You know what I mean? I don't. Oof.
Put it like this. One thing, Taroos, when I was at my job, and guys heard that I was able to take advantage of it, all of them started looking for me. Yo, how does it work? What do I do? So on and so forth. Gave them the information.
Yeah, I mean, you use the not to cut you off. You use the key word. You got an advantage. You know what I'm saying? Once you said advantage, everything explains itself. So it doesn't matter what anybody thinks or says or anything. And so when you're saying guys are going to start coming to you, it makes sense.
And I know guys who have used bonding leave and they appreciated it. They were like, bro, thanks for telling me this because I didn't know. So on and so forth. And they appreciate that time off to be with their newborn child, to be with their newborn.
But if you come up on these internet streets, Anton, that's feminist shit. That's simping.
I didn't know.
What's
I
wrong
didn't
with
know
simping?
fatherhood was simping. I didn't know being
Hey,
a good dad.
simping. Yeah, not to
It's
cut you off. Simping, lame, corny. None of these things affect me or not. Like I guess they can. If guys use them negatively to cut somebody down. But these are good things. Like you know what I mean. Like I don't. I think we listen to a lot of people and let that permeate our minds and affect our minds. I just don't listen to people like that or take everything they say seriously. You know what I mean?
Yeah, take
Like
it with a
certain
grain of
things are
salt. I
good,
agree.
and we as men are gonna do what's good and right and live with that, no matter
Exactly.
what you call it.
Exactly.
But that's the thing, Black Manosphere. We got to help our guys get that software update because unfortunately they following the not so good people. They're following. Like, think about it. You correctly mentioned community. Does guys like Andrew Tate care about community, Black Manosphere?
Nah.
No.
No, I wouldn't say so. No.
And yeah, he got millions of young men who hang on.
We're going along with his bullshit.
You know what I mean? That's
Yeah. I mean, when a guy, that awkward stage of
Yeah, but I
teenage
think
years and
what I
trying
think
to
is
become
the
men.
Tates, and I think a lot of the guys give them what appears to be a template for life.
Yeah, and masculinity and dealing with women. That's primarily his thing is primarily dealing with women. So guys want to be the best version of
Yeah, but I also
understanding
think it's
how to
part of
deal with
this.
the
It's
women that they can.
the seeking of this notion of masculinity. When you don't know who you are, you need to shroud yourself.
And look, there's nothing
Well, I'm sure
wrong with trying to look
we've
for that.
all been young.
Totally,
We
no,
all
there's nothing
been
wrong.
young.
There's nothing wrong with looking up that information and trying to better yourself as young men. The
Oh,
point
definitely.
is, we need to make sure we're warning them about the specific messengers absolutely matter. Like,
Exactly.
yeah,
I think
some
also, and also I think we gotta teach a lot of these young guys also the importance of there's a time and a place when you gotta act like this, and there's a time and a place where you don't have to act like this. Also,
Yeah.
the same thing is the only way you're gonna become a better version, you're gonna have to make those mistakes. So you're gonna need teachable moments to learn not to make these dumb mistakes. You can make these dumb mistakes now because you're young. You don't need to be making these mistakes when you get older. And the problem is they need that place to know. They gotta learn, they gotta have those teachable moments. They gotta know when to do it and when not to do it. But
and
we always
unfortunately,
know there's a time and
Anton,
place for everything. A lot of guys don't know that.
and that's another layer that we got to deal with because unfortunately, to learn those lessons, you need to go outside and touch grass.
Or women.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing more.
They're trying.
There's
They're
nothing
trying.
worse than hearing
Yeah.
men complain about women, and it's like it's a telltale sign they haven't
You know
felt
what, Grant? You got a point there. I gotta give you that, Grant.
touch anything. Just not yourself at this moment.
All right,
But,
now I wanted to put. Hold on, Taroos. Now, if you notice, I put a phone number in the chat. If anyone sees it, that 202 area code number. You guys, everyone see that? That 202-224-3121? You want to know what that number is?
what?
That's the number to the switchboard to the U.S. Capitol building. This is what I mean by people don't know how government works.
What do you
We're
use
so
that
focused.
for?
If you need to get in contact with your representative or senator of your respective state, commonwealth, or territory in the union. If you need to get in touch with them, that's the number you call. You need to speak to your congressman or congresswoman, that's the number you call, and you let them know I like to speak to my congressman. His name or her name is such of this district of this state. They'll connect you to their office. If you need to get in touch with someone from the U.S. Senate, that's the number you call.
I thought you
Yeah,
had lost
David
your mind
Joyce,
there.
I done left you some angry voicemails when y'all tried to screw over them veterans. Talking to my congressman specifically, screw you, buddy.
Well, my congresswoman is now my governor, so we're not gonna go there. But it goes back to what we were saying. People don't know how things work. People don't realize how something as simple as having that phone number and calling them can sometimes do a little bit of something. Even if it doesn't do anything big, just the fact that you can have that number, that means you could do a little bit of something.
Yeah. So guys, if you guys heard me earlier, man, I pulled an all-nighter with my little AI project, man. I'm hurting. So thanks for joining me, by the way. Go ahead, Anton, give us your final thoughts on the topic, and give us end it with a plan of action, if you will.
Okay.
A call to action. I'm sorry, that's the proper
All right,
term.
call to action. Thanks. Definitely like the topic and everything else. It makes a lot of sense. The difference between patriotism and nationalism. Nationalism has always been seen as you just love how things are going, and despite the nonsense that's going on, everything's good. Just let it be. And the perfect example of something like that would be Kevin Bacon in the movie Animal House. Everything's going crazy around them. Please stay calm, all is well. Please stay calm, all is well. That's a perfect example of nationalism. Patriotism is you love your country. You're able to identify the things that are wrong, and you're not afraid to say, "What can we do to make it better?" And you're not afraid to call out elected officials and let them know you need to do a better job. That's what patriotism is. You're not afraid to hold those in charge accountable. And it's not, and I think one of the things that happens is the less information that's out there, the more you limit information, the less people know how it works. Perfect example, what's the one thing you don't see anymore? Phone books. And while everyone always focused on the yellow pages and everything else in a phone book, everyone always ignored the two other sections, the blue pages and the white pages. The white pages will give you the number to just about any government agency in this country. Majority of them located in Washington, D.C. And now you don't see phone books anymore. And people always wonder, how do I get in touch with my congressman or congresswoman? How do I get in touch with my senator? That's why I posted that number up. That's a perfect example right there. People have to learn. And sometimes, if we want things to change or want to know how the system works, we have to learn to educate ourselves on it. And it's not that expensive either. We make it more than what it is. Or as Taroos, because of the fact we were both in the military, we take a molehill and turn it into an MOS. We make it more complicated than it has to be, and it doesn't have to. But my call to action, I'm going to leave you with this. If you ever seen the movie National Treasure, there's a part in the movie where both Nicolas Cage and Justin Bartha are at the National Archives, and they're looking at the Declaration, and he says to him, "All these years of searching, it's 3 feet in front of me." And then there's a part that he talks about what makes the Declaration important. Of Independence is important. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. And the one thing that Nicolas Cage said to Justin Bartha, people don't talk this way anymore. And he's right. People need to understand the founders weren't perfect. Hell, yeah, we all know the nonsense and the BS about the founders. But at least it gave us a blueprint on how to make sure we could try to unfuck a whole lot of fuck ups. And instead of just trying to fix things to only where it only benefits a select few, let's fix things to where everyone gets a slice of that pie. Everyone has a seat at the table. Everyone has a say. And while people I remember made fun of Barack Obama and saying, "Oh well, what does he know about running, being a politician and running a campaign? He's just a community organizer." He took the smallest thing and made it work. He took the United States and turned it into one big community, and that's how he got himself into the White House. And that's all I gotta say. And those are words worth thinking about. Thank you.
Great, man. Uh is Black Manosphere still up, or did he already bolt? Yeah, he said he got to run. Grant, thanks for coming up, man. What you got for us? What's your final thoughts?
Yeah, thanks again for having me. I'll be
Yeah,
interested
man.
to see you do a show on AI. But it seems like you have quite a bit of, I think, quite a bit of knowledge that I think a lot of people could
Limited.
really benefit from. And I do think in my perusing many of these different channels over the last couple of months, I think you're definitely one of the more sobering minds I've seen. So
I
kudos to
appreciate
you.
that. Thank you.
Um, I would say, yeah, patriotism and is I just say for anyone, caution yourself, be cautious of anything that requires you to drape yourself in a flag, to have blind allegiance to anything. But that doesn't mean having that if you can't have a particular political view, that doesn't mean you can't have a group of people you agree with, or you can't have a circle of people you align with. But you also should be questioning whether or not you believe something and you believe it because you understand it wholeheartedly. And then you should be always testing whether or not your beliefs line up with actions that you see from the people who you're aligning with or the people you're voting for. And so you should get out of the notion of sort of whataboutism your way out of things, correct? You shouldn't say, well, I voted for this person, but what about this other person? It's about the person you believe in, correct? Not about the person you don't believe in, because the person you believed in or the group that you believed in should be at the antithesis of the group you don't like, correct? Typically. And so if you're framing your world in such a way that all you have to do is drape yourself in that sort of patriotism or nationalism, and that sort of washes over any critique of both yourself and those you may align with, that can be problematic. And don't get so stuck on these sort of in group out groups. This is none of this. Even sports are not that serious. And turning politics or beliefs or anything into a sport like competition most certainly will not help any of us get better, because it would not allow for us to talk through some very hard problems and come up with some very precise ways to make a difference in the world. And for those who maybe have a bit too much cynicism, we can't on the one hand complain about the world around us and then be cynical whether or not we can have an impact in it. I think there's a point in which while we all have breath in our lungs and we can breathe, we want the world to be better, both for us today and for our children in the future. And I think that cynicism should wash over you and wash away the moment you think about your child living in a world that could be vastly worse than one that you lived in. And if that's something you're okay with, by all means, be as cynical as you want. But if you truly love those you have brought into this world and care about the lives that they're going to lead, it will behoove all of us to look squarely at the problems that are facing all of us, and really try to make what we all think is an impactful way for their lives to be vastly different and improve upon the lives of those around us too, because it's not just about us and our offspring, correct? Our kids. It's also about those who are our offspring and our family are going to interact with, correct? As they move through life. So just think about that. And I wish everyone the best. And once again, appreciate you having me on your show.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for coming up, man. Thanks for those final thoughts. Man, guys, it was I like all the heat up in the comment section. Y'all, I think some of y'all know that already, but for those of y'all that's new then and joined me today, I like that heat, man. Keep it coming, man. I like going back and forth with everybody. I don't like echo chambers. I like having my opinions challenged. I like having my brain, that hamster in the wheel spinning like, yo, what am I saying? Is it gonna make sense? Or it just doesn't work? Like I like that stuff. So I like that sort of engagement, guys. And that actually brings back to my final thoughts on the topic is I like that kind of engagement because I like knowing who my fellow Americans are. That's what makes me a patriot is that I give a shit about you guys regardless of your background. There's a lot of you guys culturally I can't stand. I still don't want your hospitals in the rural areas shut down because that's jacked up. I still don't want drugs overflowing your communities in the rural areas or out in West Virginia. That's screwed up and that shouldn't happen. And it's not because you're a white or Latino American or Black American, it's because you're my fellow American. But you know what nationalism will have you doing? Nationalism will have you looking at your fellow Americans struggling and going, yeah, they deserve that. Nationalism will have you going, you know what? We don't need to spend things on spend this taxpayer money on our own Americans because they're leechers and takers. But let's go ahead and spend that money on a country that has free healthcare, that has universal healthcare, that does pay have abortions for their women. Right? Nationalism will have you trying to take care of everyone but yourself. Nationalism will have you trying to flex and impress everyone out there globally instead of your own people. Right? Nationalism is what deteriorates that national pride. Because as you've seen, this nationalism has so many Americans not prideful in our country. Why? Our infrastructure's third world. Our education level is trash. Our healthcare system is a joke. But hey, at least we're number one in being able to kill people efficiently overseas, because that's what's really important. Guys, that's the biggest thing you got to understand with patriotism and nationalism. To be a patriot is to love your country and to criticize it. To be a nationalist is to act like there's nothing wrong with your country and to get offended if other people criticize it. Those are my final thoughts. Everybody, make sure you like, share, and subscribe here, right here on Black Men Unfiltered. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, Taroos05. This was really fun, and you guys have a great night. I'll see you next week. Peace.